Welcome to a new episode of the final chapter, the series where I try to finish all the series that I've started over the last probably 15 years. And we are now at episode 18. I started the series in summer 2024 with 50 series to continue, and I left the last episode of the series with 23 series to continue. Since then, we had two new releases. For one, this one, A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinneman, book 8 of the Dungeon Crawler Car series, and I can't wait to continue that. But not for this video, because I'm still working on my Dungeon Crawler Carl vlog that will be ready after I finished book 8. So stay tuned here. And the other one wasn't a new release between the last vlog and now, but I've missed it before, so I included here. It is In Her Own League by Liz Tomford. Technically a standalone, but it is a spin-off of the Windy City series, so I count it to that universe. And it will also be one of the books I will read in this vlog. But before we get to that, let's talk about numbers. As I said, we ended the last episode with 23 series to continue, plus the two new releases, which means 25 series to continue. Let's see if we can get this number down. Halfway through the first book now, and I decided to read The Charlie Method by Al Kennedy, book 3, the final book of the Campus Diary series, which is the story of Will, Beckett, and Charlie. So it is polyamorous, and I am intrigued by that. We already had glimpses of Will's concerns and problems in book 2, The Dixon Rule, but we also get Beckett's POV now. He is way more relaxed. He just takes everything how it comes. And in the book, he is described as the way more charming one, the comedian, and the surfer boy, because he is from Australia and his family moved to the US years ago. So when he was 13 or so, he and Will are roommates. They live together, they are best friends, and Will is way more in his head than Beckett. He thinks everything through, which we already saw in the Dixon Rule. But in my personal opinion, he is the more charming one, and I really, really like him. I know this book is about not choosing a favorite, but my personal favorite is Will, and he and Beckett like to have threesomes together with a girl. So they made an account on a hookup app, and on this hookup app, they meet Charlie. I really liked their texts, their conversations. You can clearly see the chemistry between the characters in these chats, but they also know each other in real life. They just don't know that they are chatting with each other on this app because they have pictures in their profile that don't show their faces. And in real life, Charlie doesn't really like Beckett, and Will gets her new lab partner. So it all gets a little bit complicated, and that all adds to the fact that Charlie's life is already very complicated. She deals with the fact that she is adopted. I mean, don't get me wrong, she loves her family, but they are all so perfect in her family, her mom, her dad, her siblings. And she has the feeling that she also needs to be perfect, that she needs to be normal. And with that, she just wants to fit in, she wants to be loved, and she always fears that she upsets someone, especially in her family, and that they will shut her out. So she doesn't tell her family that she made a DNA test to find her birth family, her biological family. The fear is too big that they won't like it. And she finds out she has a biological brother that also lives in the US. So she already has to deal with that. And she also has to deal with her fraternity. Is that the right word? I'm not sure, but I won't overthink it. She is in this fraternity, and the leader of this fraternity is very, very annoying. I don't like her at all, and Charlie doesn't like her too. But she's in this fraternity because her mother was also part of this fraternity when she went to Briar. So Charlie does that for her mom and tries to be the good girl, the good student, one that never makes problems, which leads to her having a secret dating life. She tells only her best friend about her hookups and then started chatting with Will and Beckett. She is intrigued by the idea of a threesome, but as I said, she just wants to be normal, so she also struggles a lot with that and overthinks a lot. But as always, the writing of L. Kennedy is very compelling. I love it. I fly through these pages. I really love the development of the characters. I like the depth of the characters with their own problems and concerns that leads to their growth. And I also like the interactions between the main characters. So even if there is a lot going on, it is not too much. It is just the right amount of drama. And I can't wait to continue reading, which I will do now. So we will see each other again when I finished the book. And I am back. I finished the Charlie Method now and really, really liked the final book of the Campus Diary series. But I also had a few things that I didn't like. So let's start with the things that I really liked about the book, which is the characters and their personal character development. They had a lot of problems that they needed to figure out throughout the story, and they did this really well. I loved the writing of Elle Kennedy here. She has the perfect mix of humor and light moments and deep and dark moments. I love, love, love that mix, and I inhaled the book. I also loved that this is not a normal heterosexual relationship, and that we got a little bit out of the box here with a polyamorous relationship. That was really interesting because through Charlie and her POVs, we get a lot of the problems people have with polyamorous relationships. So that it is not normal and that it is not that accepted in our society. And in my opinion, let the people love who they want to love. There is nothing wrong with it. as long as people don't get hurt. So that is my point to that. I also loved the storytelling in general here. We had good progress throughout the story. The pacing was good. But what I didn't like about this story is that we had a lot of problems for the characters, but each and every single one of our main characters solved their problems alone instead of together. They could have found solutions together, and they did probably for a few moments, but we missed out on important discussions. Like before our main characters went public with their relationship for the first time, they struggled a lot with that. And then in the next chapter, they went to this party. Both guys kissed Charlie, and that was it. They told all their ice hockey teammates, and I really, really missed a conversation about going public this way, and that especially Charlie was okay with it. And another scene that I missed in the book was that Charlie's biological brother met her family. We saw him in front of the door of her parents' house, but that was it. We changed the scene then. We changed the chapter. We had a whole different scenario then and just moved on without showing this really, really important moment. And that made me a bit sad. And speaking about sad, I was also sad about the third act breakup. We had 90% into the story, and I don't know what was going on with Will there. I think it was completely unnecessary. He could have figured out this problem in a completely different way, and I was annoyed by that. And we discussed all of these problems throughout the whole book. They were important throughout the whole story, but I wished we had found a solution for some problems a little bit earlier in the story for the pacing, so we wouldn't have had all problems solved in the last 10% of the book, or let it be 15%, because with that we couldn't really get into depth with the solution of the problems. And that is what I criticize the most about the book. I liked the story in general. I really had a good time with the book. I was entertained. As I said, I loved the character development. I loved the emotions. I loved the spicy scenes, even if they were all pretty similar, but that is okay. We don't need to get very kinky just because it is a polyamorous relationship. So don't expect too much from that part. They just took their turns with Charlie and had a really great time. So I'm completely okay with that. And as I said, had a good time with the story, which is the most important thing in the end. So the only thing left to say here is that yes, I finished the Campus Diary series, but that doesn't influence the number of series and universes I want to continue, because we have another book in the campus universe that I need to read or want to read, which is Love Song. It is the newest publication of Al Kennedy. It came out now in 2026, and it is the story of Gigi's brother and Blake Logan. We saw a lot of Blake in book 2 and 3 of the Campus Diary series, and we also had a little scene with Will. And now, calling him Will, I think I mixed up some names now in this update here. I am so sorry. We know I have a hard time with that, so let's ignore this and let's continue with the next book of this vlog. I am halfway through this book now and am loving it. It is super entertaining. I love the humor. I love the tension between the characters, which is really present. I love the writing. I'm flying through these pages and I can't get enough of Reese and Emmett, two characters we already know from the Windy City series. This is now a spin off. And the romance between the new team owner Reese Remington and the coach Emmett Montgomery. As I said, both characters appeared before in the Windy City series, and I already shipped these characters there. We have a little age gap here of around 10 years. Reese is in her mid 30s, Emmett is in his mid 40s. And in the Windy City series, we already had the love story of Emmett's daughter. Now it is his time to shine, and I love every single second of it. He is the more grumpy guy, and he argues a lot with Reese because he doesn't understand the decisions she makes for the team. But instead of discussing it with her and asking her about her reasons for this decision, he is just angry. He thinks she wants to change everything about the team, and he hates that because that also means his job is no longer safe. His contract only goes for 1 more year, and he's afraid that he will be fired. But Reese doesn't even think about that. Yes, she wants to change some things, but only for the better. And I think she really makes some very good decisions here, even if nobody other in the management understands it, because she's a woman, she is young, and they are all very disrespectful, which Emmett hates. He stands up for her, he fights for her, even if he's not okay with her decisions. He wants her to be respected, and I love that. So I love that combination. As I said, they are arguing and fighting a lot, but they always come back to it and can find a solution. They can talk it out. And they both really, really want to ignore the tension between them because they are in a work relationship. He is the coach for her team, and especially for her being new in this position, being a young and successful woman, it would ruin everything, not only for her, but also for the team and the whole PR. When somebody would find out that she started a relationship with somebody who works for her, so she is super, super careful, which I completely understand. And I love that Emmett accepts that. Yes, that doesn't mean the tension goes away. That is still there. We have a really good slow burn here, and they are still flirting with each other and remind themselves again and again that they can't be together, even if they want it. We also had some spicy scenes in the first half, which were really good. I loved them, and I can't wait to continue reading because I can't wait to see how they will get out of this situation where they can't be together for logical reasons. I don't know how the solution for this will look, but I will find out. And I also love about this book that we see a lot of characters from the Windy City series again here, especially from book 3 and 4, because book 3 was the story of Emmett's daughter and Kai Rhodes. And we also see Isaiah Rhodes and his wife again here because they are a big family and they show that, which makes me really, really happy that this is still included. I'm taking a little break now from the book, not because I want to, but I want to be fair. I read this with my buddy read partner Yassi, and I am a few chapters ahead of her. So I want to give her time to catch up, and I will get back to you when I finished the book. And I finished the next sports romance here in her own league, and I really loved this book. It was super entertaining. I loved the characters. Emmett and Reese were awesome. I loved that the age gap were not really important for the story. And I especially love that we had a more curvy female character, but it wasn't really discussed in the story. It wasn't a main topic. We just got a glimpse of it here and there in a few detailed descriptions, but that's it. And that means being a little bit more curvy was just normal here, which I loved very, very much. There was a lot of tension between the main characters throughout the whole book. These spicy scenes were awesome, really well written, and I loved each and every single one of them. And I also loved the pacing of the story here. It was more slow. Yes, we had the tension between the characters here, but because of the work situation and the problems there, it took a very long time for them to get together and become a couple. And even then, they just took it very privately and didn't go public with it until one point of the story, of course, when everything went into shambles. We got drama and everything needs to be figured out. I didn't like how Reese figured it all out because I didn't like that she did it on her own, that she made important decisions for her and Emmett on her own without asking him or discussing it with him. And yes, they talked about it in the end that she did it on her own and she had a reason for it, but it wasn't good enough for me. So it is a more personal thing, and I think it wasn't done on eye level between the main characters, but everything else about the book I loved. Like the Charlie method, I also inhaled in her own league, and I am sorry for my buddy read partner to went that far ahead of her, but I couldn't put the book down, and I asked her before I started the second half if it is okay with her that I just continued reading, even if she hasn't had time in that moment and it was okay for her. So, in the end, everything is fine, and I can't wait to read more of Liz Tomford, which will be the case when she publishes her new series. We already saw the main characters of that new sports romance in the end of Rio's story. So I know it is right up my alley. We have new characters, a new setting, but it is still sports romance. So I can't wait to see if we see characters from the Windy City series again. If I remember correctly, we have a different sport there than we had now in her own league, which was baseball. I think it was basketball, but I could be wrong here. I haven't looked up the synopsis again, and I can't also tell you when this new series will be published. So maybe editing Sabrina will look it up and will put it here. But finishing in her own league means that I have finished the Windy City universe now. I am on track with it, which means the number of series I want to continue gets one down. And it also means that I can read the next book for this vlog now. I hope I can finish this before the vlog goes up, but I am fucking all my reading plans for the rest of the month now with starting The Grandest Game of Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It is the first book of the Grandest Game series, but it is connected with the Inheritance Game series, which I've already read and loved. I inhaled these books. I've also read The Brothers Hawthorne, which connects the Inheritance Games series with the Grandest Game series. And I will start reading this new series now and will talk to you after I have an update. And yes, I was able to finish the Grandest Game for this vlog. As you can see, no halftime update. I would have had time to film one, but I wasn't in the mood to film on the weekend because I had 2 busy days socializing and didn't want to talk anymore on a Sunday, which means I just decided to continue reading this book and had an amazing time with it. I think it was good to take a break on the series, even if this book continues with characters from the brother Hawthorne. So I definitely recommend reading the books in order to get the full experience. Yes, technically you can read the start of a new series without reading the other books, but you will definitely miss a lot of subtext then. And for the story itself, we continue now with the grandest game, surprised by the title. This is a contest Avery Grams invented, I think, at the end of the Inheritance Game trilogy or in the Brothers Hawthorne. I'm not quite sure here. As I said, I had a break here. I read the other books a few years ago, so I can't remember everything 100%. But I remember a lot of the characters from the other books. We have now 4 POVs, which are Gigi, Savannah, Rohan, and Lyra. And we know Rohan, Gigi, and Savannah from the Brothers Hawthorne, which is why I recommend reading this before. But we have now the second round of the Grandest Game. It is the second year for this tournament, and we have 8 contestants fighting for $26 million. And to win this prize, they need to solve mysteries, puzzles, and riddles, which is quite similar to the Inheritance Game itself. It is what I love about this universe, so I don't complain about it. I love this vibe, and I had a great time reading The Grandest Game. I know a lot of people were disappointed, but I think that is where my break between the series was convenient because, yes, it has a very, very similar vibe. We have the mysteries, we have the secrets, we have plot twists and things that will be revealed about the families throughout the story. And this is just the beginning, the first round of this year's tournament. And our characters play in teams here to survive an escape room created by Avery Grams and the Hawthorne brothers. I won't tell you more than this because you just need to experience these books on your own. It is super entertaining, full of action. As I said, a lot of riddles that need to be solved, mysteries, puzzles. I love everything about it. I also love the plot twists here and the secrets that are revealed throughout the story. It is super, super entertaining, which is why I inhaled this book. And I can't wait to continue this series because I am now in the middle of the tournament. I just finished the first round, and there are so many things that I want to know, storylines that I want to continue, characters that I want to know more of, and secrets that I want to be revealed. But before I continue the Grandest Game series with Glorious Rivals, the second book, I will read Games Untold by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is an anthology of novellas around the Inheritance Game series. So some of them set before the Inheritance Games trilogy, some of them during the series, and some of them after the series. And I also just ordered the English version of The Same Backwards as Forwards because that isn't translated to German. I've read all the other books now in German. And I know one half of The Same Backwards as Forwards is included in the Games Untold anthology. But Jennifer Lynn Barnes decided to explore it further, and we have one more POV of the story in The Same Backwards as Forwards book. So I ordered that, and I want to read it when I read the anthology. But when I look at the calendar, not in this vlog, because we have now June 1st, which means The Grandest Game was the first book I finished in June. And it also means it was the last book of this vlog. I need to go editing this vlog now so you can see it tomorrow, or for you today. So let's recap what happened in this episode. I've read The Charlie Method, which didn't influence the number of series I want to continue because I have Love Song to continue the Off Campus universe. Then I've read In Her Own League by Liz Tomford, which finishes the Windy City universe. So the number gets one down to 24. And then I've read The Grandest Game to continue the Inheritance Games universe. A lot of universes here to be continued. But I haven't finished this universe. There are books to continue the series. So we are leaving this vlog with 24 series to continue. One more than with what I've ended the last episode of this vlog. So it doesn't sound that successful, but I still made progress, which is the most important thing here. And I have a lot of series in the works on the side of these vlogs, so stay tuned. When you want to see me reading the Young Sherlock Holmes series, the Dungeon Crawler Car series, or the An Ember in the Ashes universe. I'm working on these vlogs right now, but I will also start working on the next final chapter episode soon. So, all that is left to say, please tell me in the comments if you have read any of the books I've talked about and what do you think of them. Like this video if you wanna, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!